Hey, Eagles fans! We're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll stay in the know and never miss any breaking news or exclusive content. The Philadelphia Eagles finished the regular season with an impressive 14-3 record, leading the NFL in rushing attempts and occupying the bottom spot in passing attempts per game. This statistic, which might seem negative to some, actually reflects the team's game philosophy. A team that knows how to win in a physical and imposing way. Throughout the season, the Eagles demonstrated an exceptional ability to control the game on the ground, with a solid defense and an offense focused on protecting the ball and advancing consistently, even if that meant not relying much on the passing game. This approach was evident in their 22-10 win over the Green Bay Packers in the Wild Card playoff. However, the victory was not only marked by a solid defensive performance and control of the ground game, but also by a series of decisions that highlighted the ugly game strategy the Eagles have adopted. Quarterback Jalen Hurts had a subpar performance for a playoff game, completing only 13 passes out of 21 attempts. This statistic is particularly notable since Hurts is often regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Most of the game was controlled by Philadelphia's defense, which forced a fumble on the opening kickoff return, putting the team in a favorable position. From there, the team maintained a tight grip on the game, never allowing the Packers to recover. The game's story, however, is not just in the win, but also in the injuries that affected the Eagles during the match. The most significant was linebacker Nakobe Dean's knee injury, which now seems to be a season-ending injury. This news was a huge blow for Philadelphia, as Dean has been a key piece of the team's defense, and his absence could leave a difficult gap to fill. The team, already dealing with a lack of depth in some positions, could face challenges if more injuries arise in the coming games. This concern becomes even more relevant considering that the Eagles will likely face powerful offenses in the next rounds, with teams like the Vikings or Rams looming on the horizon. Despite the challenges, the Eagles' performance in the win over the Packers illustrates an important point. This is a team capable of adapting to different situations. While the passing attack was ineffective, the defense and the ground game dominated. Philadelphia committed no turnovers and ran for 169 yards, including 36 from Hurts. This was enough to secure a comfortable victory despite a limited offense. The question now is whether this formula will be enough in a matchup against a more explosive team like the Vikings or Rams. While Greenberg questioned whether the Eagles are good enough to win in a shootout, the team's season stats indicate that they are capable of adapting when necessary. The Eagles also need to deal with the issue of their offensive flexibility. While Hurts was able to control the game against the Packers without taking risks on big plays, the true test of the team's ability to win tough games without relying on a dominant defense will be tested. Greenberg, however, is not fully convinced that Hurts and his team can flip the switch when needed. The key question, as he pointed out, is whether the team will be able to adjust and compete in a high-scoring game. While this doubt is valid, it doesn't diminish the fact that the Eagles are a complete team, with a solid history of victories during the season, including a dominant showing against the Steelers in Week 15, where the team showcased its offensive potential. As the team enters the final rounds of the playoffs, the true test of their resilience and adaptability is just beginning. While the defense was the main reason for the win against the Packers, the Philadelphia team cannot rely solely on its defense to advance further. The offense will need to find a way to contribute more effectively, especially against teams with explosive offenses. The coming weeks promise to be challenging, but the Eagles have already proven that they have the strength and mentality to overcome obstacles. The question now is whether they can combine their physical game formula with more offensive efficiency, facing increasingly tough opponents. As the Eagles continue their playoff journey, the pressure will mount with each game. While they've been able to dominate teams like the Packers, their ability to maintain that level of physicality against high-powered offenses remains to be seen. The Vikings and Rams both have the capability to score quickly and often, meaning the Eagles will need to find ways to match that intensity. Hurts, though capable of controlling the tempo when needed, will have to prove that he can lead a more balanced attack in the playoffs. The Eagles' defense has been the cornerstone of their success all season long, but their offensive unit will need to step up when they face teams with elite quarterbacks and high-scoring offenses. The matchup against the Vikings or Rams will be a true test of whether the Eagles can keep pace in a shootout. Their ability to adapt and execute in those scenarios will determine how far they can go in this postseason. With so many questions still surrounding their offensive capability, it will be crucial for the Eagles to continue adjusting their strategy. Hurts will need to find a way to connect more often with his wide receivers, such as A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and take more control over the game if needed. Additionally, the injury to Nakobe Dean could prove pivotal, as the team may need to rely even more on their offense if the defense starts to wear down. Ultimately, the next few weeks will reveal if the Eagles can rise to the occasion and prove themselves as more than just a physical team. The road to the Super Bowl will be long, but Philadelphia's resilience, toughness, and ability to adapt might just be the ingredients needed for a deep playoff run. As of now, they remain one of the most unpredictable teams in the league, and that could be their greatest strength moving forward. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Recently, the Green Bay Packers requested the NFL to cancel a game against the Philadelphia Eagles, claiming that an Eagles player was caught in a doping test. This request has sparked intense discussions about the integrity of the games and the league's anti-doping policies. The NFL has a strict anti-doping program to ensure fairness among teams and the health of the athletes. When a player is caught in a test, they face sanctions that can include suspensions and fines. However, the decision to cancel a game due to an individual infraction is unprecedented in the league's history. The Green Bay Packers argue that the presence of a doped player compromised the integrity of the game, influencing the performance of the opposing team. They emphasize that fair competition is essential for the NFL's credibility and that allowing the game to proceed could send the wrong message about tolerance for anti-doping violations. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles reject the allegations, stressing that the infraction was isolated and that the team should not be held collectively responsible for the actions of a single player. They argue that the decision to maintain or cancel the game should be based on clear evidence that the infraction directly impacted the game's result. Sports law experts point out that the NFL will face a dilemma when considering the Packers' request. Canceling a game could set a dangerous precedent, where teams may contest results based on anti-doping infractions, even if they did not directly influence the collective performance. Moreover, concerns have been raised about the effectiveness of the NFL's anti-doping system. If a player was caught, it raises questions about the accuracy of tests and the league's ability to detect and punish infractions consistently. The NFL's decision will have significant implications for the league and its stakeholders. A punitive action against the Eagles could affect team morale and fan confidence in the integrity of the games. On the other hand, allowing the game to proceed without consequences could be seen as a failure to enforce anti-doping rules. Regardless of the outcome, this incident highlights the need for clear and consistent policies regarding anti-doping in the NFL. It is essential that the league maintains the trust of players, teams, and fans by ensuring that all participants are subject to the same rules and that infractions are handled fairly and transparently. As the NFL reviews the Green Bay Packers' request, the sports community is anxiously awaiting a decision that could redefine the league's approach to anti-doping violations and the integrity of its competitions. This episode serves as a reminder that, in professional sports, integrity and justice are fundamental to the success and credibility of the leagues and competitions in which athletes participate. The Green Bay Packers' request to cancel the game against the Philadelphia Eagles not only affects the two teams involved, but could have repercussions across the entire league. If the NFL accepts the request, it could set a precedent for other teams in similar situations to contest the result of a game if they discover that a player on the opposing team violated anti-doping rules. This type of action could create an uncertain scenario where the outcome of games becomes more vulnerable to legal and non-sporting disputes, thereby putting the credibility of the championship at risk. Furthermore, the NFL's decision will have a direct impact on the relationship between teams and the league. If the Packers' request is granted, it could negatively affect the dynamics between teams, creating an atmosphere of distrust regarding how the league handles anti-doping violations and other disciplinary issues. Teams may feel that there is insufficient clarity in the NFL's policies to address these situations fairly and equitably, potentially leading to an increase in complaints and appeals, which could undermine the competition's stability. On the other hand, if the NFL decides to maintain the game without additional penalties, it may also generate discontent among players, coaches, and teams. Some may argue that the league is being lenient with the violation of anti-doping rules, which could reduce confidence in the testing systems and anti-doping policies. In the long run, a lack of consistency in decisions could damage the NFL's reputation, particularly among fans who expect a high standard of integrity and transparency in sports. The financial impact may also be felt, as the decision will directly affect the scheduling of games and the season calendar. If the game between the Packers and the Eagles is canceled or rescheduled, it could harm the fan experience and affect ticket sales, sponsorships, and broadcast agreements. The situation could also lead to a decrease in public engagement if fans perceive that the league's decisions are not being made based on solid and transparent principles. Moreover, this situation may put pressure on the players themselves, who could feel insecure about the integrity of the game. If the NFL is seen as incapable of adequately addressing doping violations, it could create an environment where players feel that competitions are not fair and that their efforts on the field are undermined by external actions. This would affect the motivation and performance of athletes, who may question the usefulness of following the rules if other players violate them without facing appropriate consequences. In summary, the issue of doping and its relation to the game's cancellation could deeply impact the NFL, teams, and fan confidence in the league. The ideal scenario would be for the NFL to make a decision that balances justice, consistency, and transparency, demonstrating that the integrity of the sport is the league's top priority. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.